Hello, all. Welcome back to Council today. Last of Us, episode 2, season 2. Let's get into it. I want to say some stuff up front. I have a bad habit of getting Ellie and Abby's names because they're just about the same person. So I may misspeak here and there. That being said, let's get into it. They did it. I cannot believe it is only 2 episodes in. There was a part of me that thought we were going to be at least episode 4 before this happened, simply because I was fully expecting the writers, to move Abby's endearing story to before she killed Joel. That's what I was expecting, to get the zebra being saved, showing how her fault, the reason why she did this, reason why she went after Joel, other than the fact that simply her father, she was really looked up to him, so on and so forth. But they didn't do it that way. They followed pretty much the game. Now there were a few changes, and I'm going to be spoilers. I'm going to be comparing what they did, because I do believe this show did something wrong and opened up a fairly decent sized plot hole that the game took care of. Now, that being said, it did, however, answer a couple of questions from the game. It's one of them things that whatever ground they lost, they kind of made up for. I'll explain what I'm talking about. Let's move on. It opens up with Abby and her little crew freezing their butts off in their little whatever. There's this little compound that they found, this safe zone that they found. Her ex-boyfriend has an idea, because they see Jackson, they see how big it is. This little group can't go up against all these people. And if The Last of Us hasn't taught you anything, humanity has very much rescinded into tribalism hardcore. Like, if you're not a part of our tribe, you're not to be trusted. However, that doesn't work out in certain instances. Let's move on. So, for whatever reason, Abby goes on and her ex boyfriend stays behind to make coffee. Didn't quite happen like that in video game, but okay. Well, while she's out, she discovers two individuals riding a horse. Doesn't know who they are, just decides to go after them simply because she knows they're from that compound, and she wants to find somebody to force them to tell her where Joel is. Meanwhile, back at the back at Jackson, you have Joel's brother giving this, all right, you take the women and children, go underground, you do this, you do that, basically giving orders. And I'm sitting here going, I wonder where did they get this from? Because he didn't do that. In the game, his wife did it, which kind of surprised me. If I remember correctly, his wife was pretty much in charge. Well, there's a storm coming in. All the riders back. Ellie and the Asian love interest. We all know what's going to happen to him if you played the video game. Goes out to do their little survey. Well, they take refuge in a place. I can't remember the name of the guy. He found it. It's basically a marijuana place where they grow marijuana, and that was supposed to be Ellie and Dina, and they were supposed to have their first really where they break down and decide they like each other. And I'm sitting here going, I wonder why they changed this. And I'm like, well, who is Joel with? Well, we finally get back to Abby. Abby is trying to get to these. She sees the two people on horses, and she's following them, and she has a slide down her heel. Well, she does it completely wrong. If you've ever been in military training, you know your gun is your life, and you protect your gun at all costs. She went down the hill not in the right way. She should have slid on it, on her back with the gun on top of her. That being said, not only does she lose her rifle, she loses her sidearm. How? Don't know. It's not explained. When she gets to the bottom of the hill, she reaches for it and it's gone. Well, the ground starts to move, and it's just this gigantic horde that is under the ice. Well, she runs from them. This is pretty much face for face for the game. Joel does save her, and then you get inside the building, and Joel is teamed up with none other than Dina. And I'm like, whoa, 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 hold up, stop. That's not the way this. That's not the way the game was. He was with his brother. So she's like, we're near a compound, and they were being chased by the clickers. To be fair, well, meanwhile, back at the compound, they're preparing for the worst. They're just getting everything ready to basically go to war with the clickers. Kind of reminiscing of season 8 of the White Walkers. Kind of had vibes of that, almost shot for shot. Some may say. I recognized a lot of stuff. That being said, apparently somebody told this cast they sell lights at Home Depot, Ace Hardware, and Lowe's, and they went and bought lights because you could actually see everything. I quite enjoyed this little battle. It was the best part of the show to me. And they go to war with the clickers, and I'm like, how did the clickers even know to go? Because they were all following Joel and Dina and Abby. How did they get here? Well, while they were preparing, one guy hits this pipe, breaks into the pipe, and there's the fungus. Well, he breaks into the fungus, and the fungus flexes or so it's still alive. So I'm assuming the reason the clickers decided to quit chasing Joe, because during the chase, like all the clickers are going in one direction and just literally stop and go the other way. So I'm assuming that had some. It's got to be, or at least that's what I think. Could be wrong. Well, unfortunately, this changes something pretty major in the show that the game got right. Because when Joel arrives at this compound, there's nothing chasing them. Not even one clicker. They're just there. And just before they get there, they're at the top of the hill, and you can see the fires around Jackson. Well, Abby's desperate to keep Joel with her because right now she's outnumbered, and she's also doesn't have a weapon. They don't give her anything. And she's desperate to get Joel back to her compound and her friends so she can carry out her revenge. There's absolutely no reason at this point for Joel to go, all right, let's go find your friends and go fight. Why would they fight him? He doesn't know why Abby's bunch is there. Doesn't know what they're doing. Doesn't know what group they're with. This makes absolutely no conical sense. There's no reason. And that, to me, just kind of kills the plot, for lack of a better word. Some pun intended on that. Well, Ellie's was out. She's been bedded down. She's now looking for Joel. Joel goes to the compound, and of course, then it goes pretty much back to the way the video game was, to where they put Dina to sleep. Now, in the game, they basically just knocked Joel's brother out, but this same thing, only a little bit more gentler, and she has frostbite apparently. Dina, that is, and Abby in the game, because hold on, I'm trying to get this right. Ellie finds them, and they're and you hear they're just, let's get it this on with. She's obviously been working on Joel for a minute, and she comes in, taken out the same way this guy cuts his face, puts Ellie on, and she is sitting there begging and pleading, "Don't do this, don't do this, Joel, get up." And she finishes him right in front of Ellie. Now, in the game, especially from my point of view, I'm going, why in the world would you let this girl live? Well, in the show, Abby gets down and tells Joel that I was brought up. I've been in the militia for 5 years, and the people I trained with trained me. You don't kill people that can't defend themselves. And I'm assuming there is the reason they left Ellie alive, even though she killed Joel. Everybody else just stood there and watched. That being said, I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. Not saying it's. I just enjoyed the battle. I enjoyed the attack on Jackson. That to me was interesting. It was needless. There wasn't. I don't know what they're going to do with it yet. I kind of find that interesting. And I don't know if I'm going to continue reviewing this simply because I don't know how well this is going to do. Now that Joel is dead, the biggest curiosity died with it. There are a few other things I'd like to see how they handle. The Asian kid, the Asian love interest. I kind of want to know how they deal with him. I kind of want to know the raw dog. I kind of want to know how they're going to deal with that. That'll be next season, I know, but still. That being said, what do you guys think? Are you watching it? Do you care? I mean, everybody knows how this is going to end. We don't even know if we're going to get a Last of Us 3. I had some thoughts on that. Regardless whether I finish this out or not, I have some thoughts on the Last of Us 3. I have some thoughts. That being said, thanks for watching. Thank you for your time, your support. It means more than you know. I will see you guys next video.